Okay, how's it going, everybody? I hope you're all doing well. Okay, well, so in today's episode, I thought I'd try something a little bit different and try to say something about the musician Bob Dylan and the issues of plagiarism which have surfaced with him over the many years. Okay, so I think it's well known that Dylan has, on more than one occasion, freely borrowed from others and even, as I said, been accused of plagiarism. Something, by the way, that wouldn't have bothered anybody before the 17th century because originality just wasn't highly prized before then. But that's another story. Anyway, just to mention a few things that Dylan did. So when he started playing music in high school, he was playing covers. His first albums consisted, again, of mostly covers or adaptations, in these cases of old blues and folk songs. Soon after, he took up the identity of a sort of a Woody Guthrie reformer for social and political rights, even, as some commentators have argued, adopting his persona to some degree. Lyrics from his album Love and Theft were line-for-line copies from the autobiography of a writer from Japan. In a 2006 album, Modern Times, as one researcher has noticed, he pulled passages from classical poetry, Confederate verse, and a blues song from the 1940s. And finally, it turned out that not too long ago, the Nobel Prize lecture that he wrote or gave was rife with partial quotes from, of all things, Cliff Notes. And again, this is only scratching the surface. There are innumerable instances of this sort of stuff in Dylan's career and in his music. So what are we to make of this? In particular, this seeming artistic theft? Well, maybe we could start by going all the way back to Aristotle. After all, Aristotle tells us that imitation is completely natural to human beings from early childhood. And that's how we come to learn things. We watch others around us. We do as they do. And that's how we learn to do those activities. And eventually, of course, we do them in our own way. Okay, now I don't think it's that much different in the arts. Here too, you might say that imitation is the most important learning and teaching resource. After all, don't the art teachers demonstrate while the students try to copy and imitate? And painters, well, they copy famous paintings and drawings, don't they? And writers, well, they copy the masters. For example, Arthur Miller says that he copies the plays of Shakespeare. And I don't think the fact that most original artists are those most immersed in the work of their masters is something that is strange or inconsistent. No, in fact, I think that their originality seems to grow out of a deep competence and understanding achieved in part and initially through their imitation. Picasso, who famously said that all art is theft, did something like this. What he did is he pretty much directly copied some African masks that he discovered in the Museum of Ethnography in Paris, and he used them for some of the faces of the women that he painted in his The Young Ladies of Avignon. Now, in its entirety, this work is one of the most, if not the most, original painting in history. Yet, it bears the evidence of artistic theft. But my point is that it doesn't matter. And that's because Picasso transcended this influence to create something unique and new. Okay, so why shouldn't something like this also apply to Dylan? Dylan doesn't simply duplicate and leave it at that. No, he embeds what he's borrowed or copied in something larger of his own creation, be it the Nobel Prize speech or something else. In this sense, then, he transforms what he takes from others and turns it into something else, something that that bears his own stamp. You know, T.S. Eliot said that a young poet copies his heroes while a mature poet steals from them. Now, I think that this is an important distinction, and I think it's applicable to Dylan. Playing all cover songs when you're young and inexperienced makes total sense. And this is, at the end of the day, a kind of copying. But as a mature artist who now has, to some extent, established their own identity, to take from others is no longer copying, but it's a kind of calculated theft that recognizes that to bring out the best in one's own hearth requires a small piece that belongs to somebody else. Okay, but you know what? Now that I think about it, maybe at the end of the day, borrowing from others is not such a big deal. Because, well, really, everyone is saying the same sorts of things anyway. I mean, don't we all draw from the well pool of human universals? So is anybody really saying something entirely new or original? So maybe Ecclesiastes is right. Maybe what has been will be again, and that what has been done will be done again, and that there is nothing new under the sun. Well, if so, fidelity to the human condition teaches us that ultimately there are no copyright issues. Bye for now.